basically, we've talked to two traditional Native American Navajo, and gotten like a deeper perspective on their ceremonies and what they, at least, not necessarily how the traditional Navajo work, but how those two work within the traditions. And like everyone else, I've been trying to deconstruct it in a way to like try to get some more understanding of how many perspectives there are to deal with the changing Navajo Nation, basically how people try to resist the change and how people try to adapt to it. I guess the sweat lodge was the easiest point to reference, just how intense the actual ceremony, even if I didn't have any like specific beliefs regarding it, it was still had this intense impact on me, and then also just the people within the group. That was really intense, and I really liked that a lot. And I guess I experienced the culture a little more, although I don't know, I think it's growing to be a lot harder to experience the actual culture that we associate with Navajo. It's getting more and more modernized.
I don't know, everyone before this trip's always seems to like play it off as a very spiritual experience, very like just moving on that level. I haven't gotten that at all really, as much as just like, I don't know, things on a very human level, seeing the people on the Navajo reservation, or even visiting like the ruins, things like that. I love that. That was probably my favorite part of the trip, just seeing like that people actually existed there. This is where they lived, where they ate and loved and fucked, and they were real people, and they're gone, and all, the only people who remember them are the people who bother to march down this canyon and look at their ruins, Besides that, just going to visit the the rehab center yesterday, and even staying at Black Mesa and just seeing how they operate on that ranch up there. The Sweat Lodge was somewhat spiritual, but again, that was more, definitely connected more on a human level, just being with the group and connecting with the group and looking naked at the group after Sweat Lodge was just like really moving. It was a very like, almost eerie like feeling. We were all just kind of like walking around, not talking. No one wanted to put their clothes back on. Like Michael was just like dancing in the sand, and I'm just like stumbling around, just like running my feet through the sand for like half an hour. And we just like didn't say a word to each other, and that was by far the most moving time on this trip for me.
My age, you think that's good? Okay. Been experiencing challenge, I guess. Like, not in a bad way, but in a good way. Like, because you're forced to figure things out, and you're forced to think about yourself and why you're doing things. So it's like being more comfortable with myself and figuring out what works, because you have to know, because you're in this big group of people, this like big community. Because once you reach that, oh my god, I'm fucking done point, then you really start to be challenged. Completely, you just have to push on, otherwise, I mean, like, what are you going to do, lay in your tent for like the next week and a half or something? It's like you're part of a community that everybody's dirty and everybody feels like crap, and at some points, but everybody's happy. So like, once you reach like the oh my god challenge point, it's like everybody gets loopy a little bit. So like the van rides for us have been ridiculous, and we're just all giggling and like laughing about stupid stuff, and it's like we've known each other for years, but it's really only been like 2 weeks. It's like the van rides are some of my favorite things in the whole world.
Experience like joy, sadness. When we talked about our family, in that talking circle, I really broke down. Well, it's because I really don't talk about my family. So there's something I thought was really interesting, and the man yesterday said it, and he said that placenta, they take it and they bury it in the ground. So when you die, you go back to where you came from, the earth. And I think that's really interesting. I think their view on death is, I wouldn't say more progressive, but it just makes more sense. I want to remember the Sweat Lodge, and it's not even the actual sweat, it was the time before the sled. We were the second group. We had to wait, it felt like an hour. I don't really know how long it took before we went in. And we were just all completely naked, sunbathing, laughing, talking. And like me and Amanda were like, let's go frolic, you know? Like we went like in the forest just naked, and it just felt so natural. I just never really felt that way before. And we all felt like that, like we were all like united. And everybody was just so beautiful, and just it's weird, like everybody, their bodies fit them. Cool. I don't want to ever forget that, or that feeling. Not just like the experience, but I don't want to forget that feeling of just like peace and nature, you know, and like unity.
I've seen more relationships getting more tighter. People are like really coming. Like intimacy is a big thing. I think it's just because we're all thrown in the same situation. It's not necessarily forced, but it's something that needs to be, like there needs to be some unity, some reciprocation, and like I'm forced to return the actions, and it's made me like reflect on myself as an individual, and that's how I should act on an individual level. Well, after the sweat lodge, it was pretty cool because we were all just like we had been in that situation where we're all brought together, and then at the climactic point where everybody's let out of the sweat lodge, we all crawled out, and like I always remember Francis, like he was just laying in the sand, like naked near us, and he's just got a grape soda in his hand, and he's telling these jokes, and it was just such a an awesome experience.
We spent a day building the sweat lodge, which felt great because we were all pitching in together in one way or another. I had a lot of fun chopping wood, which I've never really done before, and then to participate in the actual ritual of the sweat lodge was so much more intense than I thought it would be. What got me about it was the amount of discomfort and how I guess how communal it became, in the sense that we were all kind of suffering together, and we were also speaking to each other while we were suffering, and these waves of heat would just blow over us and envelope us, and then we would say like the most raw and honest things that were on our mind. And also we visited Rough Rock, the high school. I was very happy to see all these kids learning their own learning their native language, which seemed to be the most important part of conserving their culture, and it really conveyed the idea of culture perpetuated through education. I'm a fairly reserved person, so spending all this time with these people and getting to know them is just great. It's something that I needed.
And I've experienced all sorts of things, kind of team building and stuff like that, with making food, like kind of being in that position. There's been a lot of team building, life skills that I've experienced, and I've really exercised. And also, different means of conflict management, and definitely just kind of fun, I guess. It's definitely just something really raw about it. It's just fun. Always yesterday when we went into Gallup, it was really surreal, and we went into Walmart, and Gordon was just kind of like, okay, go get this, and this, and Hannah and I were like, okay, and we did, and we got some of the wrong stuff, but we just made it work. It was kind of vague, but it also, I don't know, it was challenging, and the lack of set instructions, but I feel like that's kind of a theme throughout this trip.